Welcome to this Namos user group webinar, NUG webinar, #Nuggets of Wisdom. This webinar is titled Join the AI Revolution using OCI. Throughout the webinar, we've got a Q&A section at the top. If you have any questions at any point, please feel free to write them in the Q&A section and we'll be monitoring that and we can answer them at the end of the session. Today, presenting, we have Oliver Matthews, Technology Account Manager, and Simon Clark, OCI and DBA Practice Director. And so without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Oliver.
Hello, everybody. I think we're going to launch some slides. Otherwise, you'll just be looking at my face, which isn't great. So thanks, everybody, for turning up. As Jan said, we're going to go through some bits. A bit about us, because there's a lot of faces we know on the call, but there's a few that we don't. So a quick introduction to who Namos actually are, and then into how we got to where we are. The agenda section, we'll send everything out as a PDF as well as a recording later so that you have access to it, reference documents if you want. So if we go to the start one, as in who we are, I think Jan's actually told everybody who we are, but Simon, if we move over, Oliver, Technology Sales, and Simon, the DBA Practice.
OCI and DBA Practice Director. I've been an Oracle consultant for almost 20 odd years. Started off as a apps DBA back in the day for eBusiness Suite, and yeah, in the last six odd years, got to play with all the cool things in OCI.
Perfect. Right. So as I said, we'll do a fast fire sort of overview of who Namos are. So if we go to the next one, Simon, I'm going to do Chris Whitty today, and go next slide, please. Introducing Namos. So a lot of people on here will know who we are, but a lot of people won't. So Namos are an Oracle partner. We were founded in 2012. We are the largest independent Oracle partner in the UK. Currently got 130, just over 130 consultants, all onshore based, 100% UK permanent resource, which is great. We're Oracle only. Now, when we say Oracle only, yes, we're Oracle only from the point of view that we implement Oracle only products, but we only use Oracle ourselves. So when we work with customers, we work from a point of knowledge and empathy in some cases, as I'm sure people will understand on projects. It's nice to have a partner who's actually been in the muck doing the same thing with you. Now, what do we do within Oracle? If I go next slide, please, Simon. These are our pillars of delivery. So Oracle's massive. It's huge. I don't think anybody should do all of it, and I don't think we'd ever want to. But these are our 4 current pillars of Oracle products that we work across. So we started off on the left-hand side with our eBusiness Suite and our Fusion abilities. So we've got finance, HCM, supply chain, and EPM practices delivering, and have been since 2012. More recently, over the last 5 years, we've developed the second 2 pillars. So our database platform team, which help customers with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, autonomous database, HeatWave, all of those sort of areas there. And then we have the Enhance and Innovate team, the team that help people with the likes of Apex. So filling gaps within enterprise technology. We all spend money on big SaaS solutions, but there's always something that somebody in a department somewhere does in a spreadsheet. Well, let's help visualize that into a solution using something like Apex. Integration Cloud, obviously, another really big popular tool at the moment, helping you integrate with other businesses you're working with or with third-party products. And then FDI and Oracle Analytics Cloud, so using the most of that. And then the baby of the lot, and when I say baby, I really do, it's sort of 6 months, really, this last pillar, which is our data and AI area. We'll go through more of that story in a bit. And underneath, just the last one, which is our managed service. All of these services are underpinned by the sort of back follow-on support or post-project support, if required, by our really rather good managed service team, completely tailored, dedicated service 24/7. Happy to talk more about that on another occasion. So if we go to the next slide, this is where we talk about what people are actually here for, and then we go into the science bit with Simon. So Namos AI agent, this is really how we got here, or why we got here. And I think it's fair to say for a long time we sat there thinking, do we want to draw a line in the sand and say, we're not going to follow this route from a tech point of view, but actually we should do because Oracle are doing it and we mirror Oracle. So what is AI? I think it's fair to say a bit like data strategy, as an example a while ago. AI was, for a long time, a really, really expensive and complex thing that required loads of data scientists and machine learning engineers. And you'd have to hire people out of university for 180 grand a year just to get something built. And most of the time, people did it without knowledge or understanding of what they wanted to achieve. They were just following what Gartner said. So our strategy, or what we came up with, was actually AI, from our point of view, is powered by ideas. Without something to solve, it is truly redundant. So if Namos are going to go into this route and start talking to customers about AI and start developing solutions, AI solutions to service customers, we need to find a way for that we'd use it ourselves. We don't like to go to customers and do something unless we ourselves have done it or would do it. So the application side, that is, where would we put it? Why do we need it? Because if we can't find a reason, you guys will not have a reason. So we went across the business and we met the HR teams, the finance teams, the service desk teams, and found areas or asked them for use cases where time was being wasted. And we don't mean in a way to replace people, we just mean in the way that somebody's doing admin that really the answers are already there and they should have been done automatically. So HR is the one we're going to focus on mainly today, and briefly give you an overview on that. Our people team, we spoke to them and said, where do you think AI could help? Or where are you losing time that you don't think you should be? And one of the big ones was policy documents. Same with every company, I think. When you join a company, you get given your policy documents, expenses documents, holiday documents, all of these other bits and pieces, paternity cover. And it's usually in a SharePoint folder somewhere, in a PDF in a SharePoint folder somewhere. And you know, as humans, as me, really, as a salesperson, I'm a bit lazy and I forget where that folder is, which means I then ask HR department or the people department sometimes silly questions that I should probably know because it's fully available for me in documentation. So how do we help the people team stop losing that time? And to put it into a quantifiable amount, they forecasted they were probably spending 2 days a month dealing with people asking questions of readily available information. Okay, so we thought, well, okay, we can do. Someone's waiting in the lobby. Hello. We'll create an AI solution to this, right? We have an AI agent or something. Now, going back to point one, we haven't got a million data scientists or any. We don't really machine learning people. And we don't want to spend millions of pounds. So how do we do it? Now, what we do have, and again, a lot of people on the call will have the same thing. We do have an OCI tenancy. And within the OCI tenancy, as we see Oracle talking about on a daily basis, I think there was Grom model was announced yesterday as an LLM available in there. There are all sorts of OCI marketplace things we can buy and OCI services. So the team looked into the OCI environment we had and essentially the shopping list and said, well, what do we need? Well, we need a place to put the documentation. Okay, well, let's have a look. What's the most cost-effective way of doing that? Object storage, brilliant. Let's grab that. And now we need an AI agent to help, you know, be able to ask questions of it. Okay, well, brilliant. There's a number of different options in there, but we'll grab the Oracle Generative AI agent. And then we need a front end because we don't want people mucking about in the dashboard. We want a user experience for the likes of Oliver to be able to ask his silly questions and more important ones sometimes. So we have these three components that were ready available for us in OCI. All we had to do was turn on and glue them together. Now, it's far more complex than that. Simon will go into it in a minute, but that's it. You've got all of these tools to hand. So we went to one or two of my existing customers and said, look, we built this, and this is how we're using it. It's now embedded in our intranet. Users can click on a link and ask their questions, and HR have saved 2 days a month. So we can give a quantifiable, I suppose, saving, which pays for, if not doubled, pays double the amount that the tool costs. And the customer said, well, this is great. We love it. We are currently using Copilot. I said, okay, no, fair enough. Copilot's pretty well established. How much does that cost? For a company of 200 people, it's $6,000 a month. Right. Okay. Well, that made us look at the pricing, because what we were surprised by is how actually cheap we were able to get this thing running for. And the customer themselves looked at it and said, well, we could save £5,800 and something a month by using OCI tools that we've already got and cancelling the Copilot tool, which is just stunning. And then we went into other questions about their diversity and inclusion program. We have people who, a bit like me, I've got learning difficulties. I don't always like typing. I like to dictate. So how do we put that function into the tool? OCI speech. Okay, well, how much is that going to cost? 28p a day. It's just a mind-bogglingly low cost for what is a hugely powerful tool. So last bit on the slide, the realization here, which is the hard work's been done. The days of having to hire an army of people and spend millions of pounds to just get that nucleus product, that's been done. The big vendors, the Oracles out there, have already built the building blocks, the bricks. We just have to sort of stick them together in the right configuration. On the configuration side, it's infinitely customizable. We can literally do anything. It takes a minute to just glue the right bits in place and figure out which bits attach where, but anything to do, and it's inexpensive. I put on one of my posts on LinkedIn, and the post on LinkedIn, I don't know if anybody even reads them, but it was less than a Frappuccino. Now, I lied, and we've looked at it because something was left on, and this morning I checked Pret, and actually what we've got as a baseline tool costs less than a cup of English breakfast tea at Pret a Manger in London. So outstanding. Now we'll go to the science bit, and I'll pass over to Simon and let him into this part, but thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Ollie. If I flip on to the architecture, so I don't expect everyone to get excited on this slide like I do, but this is just to give you a quick overview of what the architecture of our HR policy AI bot is doing behind the scenes. So essentially, our users connect to the Namos VPN, and then through the web application file and the load balancer, they get access to an Apex application that is then connected into the back end of the OCI generative agent. So the user doesn't see any of the clever things behind the scene. All they're doing is interacting with an Apex application, which I'll show you in a second. For administrative access, the IaaS and DBA team come through a Bastion onto a compute instance, and that compute instance is doing automatic SSL updates to Let's Encrypt. So I'm not sure if anyone's heard the news about the way that SSL are going to go, but the 1 year duration on those certificates is they expect it's going to be getting down to 3 months for most people. So automation on that aspect is key, because we don't want to be manually doing that every 3 months. Got some costs down in the corner here of a potential 100 mega storage with 1,000 requests per month on the AI agent. That comes to a whopping £2.50 a day. What I'll show you I will show you the billing of the Namos tenancy on our compartment for this one, and it is less than that. So as Ollie says, very cost-effective way of getting information to your users. So if I now go to the demo, bear with me 2 seconds. All right, cool. So we have, just refresh these tabs, make sure they're still connected. All right, cool. So this is our Apex application for the HR policy documents. So you basically get a little question box that we can type whatever we want in there. So I've got some questions here. Let me just copy and paste them in. So at Namos, we are lucky enough to get our birthday off as an extra day in our leave balance. So that is detailed in one of the policies. So if I ask it, do I get my birthday off? It comes back saying yes. And under the citations, it tells me which document that answer was pulled from, and you can see it's the employee handbook. So that's one question. If I then flip to something like an IT security related question for the document classifications at Namos, so we have the normal 4 classifications that most people have, but as you can see, ask that question and it gives you the answer of public, internal, restricted and confidential. Now, if I flip to an expenses oriented question, just let me do the citations on that one. You can see that that's a completely different policy that's reviewed there. If I pop in a question that Ollie might ask, can I expense a bag? This is quite an interesting question because our policy doesn't actually say bags are excluded or included. However, the bot's been able to infer from our expenses policy that bags fall under the category of clothing. So it's managed to kind of work out that, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that. But we don't explicitly say bag in that policy. So that's kind of cool too, that the AI agent's able to infer answers as well. And just to show you what this is doing behind the scenes. So this is the OCI portal, which this is the OCI portal. Some of you may or may not be familiar with this one, but essentially behind the scenes in OCI portal, you've got access to everything that Oracle offer, which we will talk about on our next Namos user group, Ollie. However, in here, I just want to show you that this is actually what the Apex app is talking to behind the scenes. So the same here are what our Apex app is talking to. You get kind of a bit more information here because you've got the traces and the filters and stuff, which is, if you're interested in that technical aspect, it's really cool because it shows you the flow of the AI agent walking through the documents in the knowledge base that I'll show in a sec, selecting the right document and then producing the answer. So you can see it's produced a simple text style diagram of the expenses flow, and with the citation of our policy document, and you can download that or view that document directly. Now, this was all done, I'll go back to this one, this was all done using the standard prompt. So when you talk to an AI agent, you have the option of it's a prompt to tell it how you wish the answers to be presented back to you, whether you want them really short and summarized, whether you want them under 100 words, all that kind of stuff. So by default, it's in the shorter end of the spectrum and tries to summarize everything. If I show you, so it's this tab. So if I quickly edit this instructions for this particular AI agent, and what I'll say is, give me extremely detailed answers, including bullet points. So if we give that a few seconds to update, only takes less than 10 seconds. He says, just need that to go green and then I can continue on. Cool, right, so if I now go back, ask exactly the same question, right? So this one was what, 3 sentences long. If I ask the same question now. It should expand it a lot more. There we go. So it's now brought in, it's still the same reference document, the citation there, but it's just made the answer a lot bigger depending on what I've asked it in that prompt. So really cool. You can even do some interesting things like answer in a different language. Now, my GCSE French wasn't my best grade at school, so I can't verify or confirm that these are actual legit French answers, but it looks in the right ballpark. So if I just ask that question. And what I'm just showing here is the fact that you can tailor this prompt for whatever need you have. So, you know, if your audience is not particularly IT literate, you could make things more simple with the answers that it provides. So similarly, if your audience is super technical, then you can say, make my answers more technical, right? You have the control to how the default AI agent answers are going to be. So yeah, I know that that's French, so I think I would suggest that the rest of it is probably a decent attempt at translating our policy into French. And let me just remove that, because any Namos user that is now trying to query our tool might be wondering why their answers have just all come in French. So let me just switch that back off. So that's what we're using on the HR policy side. So it's purely for cost efficiency for people and reducing the effort that they need to spend doing simple tasks. Now, you can use this for competitive advantage if you're doing other bits and bobs within your companies that you need to leverage some AI for. So if I now show you my next little demo, which is Ollie was kind enough to generate 2 fictitious these for me. So I've uploaded these into this particular bucket, and that's how you load your knowledge base within the OCI agents. You have a object storage bucket, upload your files, has to be PDF or TXTs. Load those in. You run an ingestion job within the data source. So you can see when I ingested these two files during the week, this took a whopping 22 seconds. So that was pretty quick to get those two files in. It doesn't take hours and hours and hours. But I can now query, let me just refresh that. I can now query those two fictitious CV documents. So, for example, and the reason what we're going to do here is we're going to do a comparison between the two, right? So, am I still connected to the VPN? Yep. It's cheating and already given me the answer. Oh, that's what I was testing earlier. So compare the two CVs and list the differences. So at the moment, I've got in this particular agent the same provide detailed responses prompt in bullet form. So as you can see, it's gone to town with the differences that it's identified and saying what those differences are between the two files. Don't worry, this isn't a real person. This is someone Ollie's made up. So don't worry about that. One final question I will do on this one. So that was just listing out all the differences, right? If I hone in on one and saying, look, these are the same person, show me where is it? The achievements in sales. So one said 1.25, one said 1.4, and the targets were 1.2. So if I now ask just that one question to hone in on a particular difference, the response will be shortened down to just the bit that we're interested in. As you can see, it shows it's done the basic maths of what the difference is and all that kind of stuff. So useful for if you've got a lot of comparisons to do. You could use this to chuck a load of files in the knowledge base and then ask questions on those files that you've uploaded to compare. Okay, I'm on time, so let me just now move on to the billing. In the slide I mentioned this is costing us less than that standard shape that we were talking about there. This actually weighs in at £1.40. That they were the weekend days, so we shut it down at the weekends to save some consumption costs because no one's going to be querying it over the weekend. But as you can see, it's not especially expensive to run this. The biggest part of it is the Apex database and the compute instance. So very economical to run those particular services. And if I just show you the table, just to show you that I'm not pulling any wool over anyone's eyes, you can see the different parts of the OCI services that are in use in this particular compartment, which is where all of our AI services are running from. So very good on the consumption rate. And then the final question I asked myself was, well, if the biggest chunk of the consumption is the database, and that's the autonomous database is where we're running this Apex application, right? So if we didn't need an AI Apex application, could we do something where we don't actually talk to an Apex app, we talk directly with the AI services? So I had one of my team work on a PowerShell script, right? So this is proof of concept. This hasn't gone any further than a PowerShell script at the moment, but in the fullness of time, we might make a nice GUI on the front of it and have it deployed to people's desktops where they can just double click it, and it kind of turns into a little Microsoft Clippy friend where you can ask it questions of particular subjects that it's got loaded into it. So yeah, I run a PowerShell script, and then I asked it the question, how do we report phishing in Outlook? We have a loaded sample of knowledge base articles and ticket history that we took out of our service desk and popped it into a separate knowledge base. And as you can see, it can give you particular, the formatting on this one wasn't great, but you can see that it's managed to work out. Yeah, I'll pull it from this particular knowledge article, and it's out the steps to do reporting phishing in Outlook. So you have the aim of this one in the fullness of time is to have, if someone asks, oh, how do I update my email signature, it can present a whole list of steps to that user saying, yeah, click this, go here, do that, wait 30 seconds, click that, and kind of help the more simple style of tickets that the IT team at Namos get internally to try and reduce some of that load on them. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And that was my final demonstration. So let me quickly flip back to presentation. Bear with me. So the next slide is Q&A. I've been busy chatting, so I haven't seen if anything's come in yet. But
no, nothing's come
if
up.
anyone
I think
has a question.
I think it's quite natural sometimes not to get a lot, and then we'll get other people coming to one side and the back. But Simon's demonstration was brilliant, and in the CV part, just think wider picture. That's document. So you could use Oracle's product against them in some ways. When they give you their contract renewal, you could put their contract renewal versus their old one into their tool to find out what the difference is. You know, that's a huge amount of value for the legal department, not going through line items or giving a high level. And the other part I just think it's worth mentioning before this sort of all closes out is it's not per user. So when you look at, again, I'm not picking on Microsoft, I am a little bit, but the Microsoft is per user. So it's $20 or £20, sorry, it's $30 per user per month. With the Oracle tools, you're just paying for the tool. It's not per user. You could have 1,000 users on it. The price remains relatively static, and certainly below what the competitive products are out there.
That's right. So the consumption costs are all of your stored documents, ingesting those documents, and then the number of characters in your question, and then the answer coming back, as well as running the Apex application in their example. So you don't have a license that you need to assign to anyone or anything like that. It is all done on consumption.
We have got one question in there, which is, can the bulk database be linked to corporate SharePoint as a data source? The answer to that is yeah. You can use Oracle Integration Cloud. It's got tried and true methods and APIs to connect into SharePoint, so you can do that with that, and I believe into Teams as well. We're yet to test that, so once we've done that, I'm sure we'll crow about it. But into SharePoint, yes. And that was the last one, or the only one. Over to you, Jan.
Okay, thank you very much, Simon and Oliver, for that very interesting talk. We'd also like to invite everyone to the next in-person Namos user group event, which is at the Lookout in London. As you can see in front of you, that's some of the details about what's involved on the day. Let me just also copy and paste a link to the registration page here, which you can find on the Namos website. So yes, you're all invited to that, and we'd love to see you there. If you have any further questions on any of the things you've seen today, please feel free to reach out to your Namos contact. We'll be sending this stuff in documentation and a video out later. But for now, that concludes this webinar. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending. Thank you to the presenters.
Thank you.
Thank you.